next 2 weeks, we're going to look at the concept of hermeneutics. The term hermeneutic simply means the interpretation of Scripture. And it's very important that you have a hermeneutic, you have a premise by which you make determinations in regard to interpretation of Scripture. Do you take it figuratively? Do you take it literally? And of course the answer is yes. It depends upon the type of literature you're dealing with. But today we want to talk about hermeneutics in regard to what do we carry over from the Old Testament to the New Testament that we ought to be living out today in our lives. And there's a very important principle that is called apostolic hermeneutics. That is the interpretation of Scripture of the apostles. And Jesus fits into that too. And so the principle is this: whatever Jesus and the apostles brought over from the Old Testament and applied to the New Testament times, that is what we are to follow. And that the others may be good for instruction and we may choose to do them, but they're not something that we have to do. You see, there's 613 laws of the Old Testament. How many of those laws should we be obeying today? Today, in particular, I want to deal with the concept of the dietary laws. As you may remember or be aware, that in the Old Testament times, the Jewish people couldn't eat pork. They couldn't eat shellfish, and they couldn't put beef and cheese together. Can you imagine that? They couldn't have a cheeseburger. You go to McDavid's and there are no cheeseburger because Jewish people can't eat them. So how is it that we determine that we can eat those things today when they were forbidden in the Old Testament? Well, the principle is based upon what did Jesus and what the apostles have to teach about those matters. In regard to this dietary law, I want to look very briefly at Mark 7, verses 17 through 19. After he had left the crowd and entered the house, his disciples asked him about the parable. He says, "Don't you see that nothing that enters a man from the outside can make him unclean? For it doesn't go into his heart, but into his stomach, and then out of his body." And then Mark says this in parentheses, "In saying this, Jesus declared all foods clean." So how is it that we can eat pork, and we can eat shellfish, and we can have cheeseburgers? Is that Jesus here made all foods clean, and therefore it changed that Old Testament time into the New Testament, where he became the fulfillment of the Old Testament law and gave us new instruction as we moved along.